OutFront now, Robert Litt, former Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General and former General Counsel for the Director of National Intelligence, and Stephanie Grisham, former Trump White House Press Secretary. Also joining us tonight, Caitlin Collins, our Chief White House Correspondent, who also covered 4 years of the Trump White House. Thank you all. We're waiting for this filing, and as we wait, Bob, let's begin with this, and that is based on the filing from the Justice Department that came late last night, early this morning. Is it clear to you that the former president committed a crime?
Well, I think Evan focused on exactly the right point there. I think that we have very strong evidence that there was classified information that was being improperly retained. We have very strong evidence that there were violations of the Federal Records Act. The president's filings to date have addressed those. What they haven't said anything about is obstruction. Yeah. And that's because it's a much easier charge to prove in this case. And the evidence is very straightforward. The National Archives asked for documents. They finally, after some months, got some documents. The government served a subpoena for additional documents. They were told these are all the documents there are and given another group of documents. And then they executed a search warrant, and there was a whole bunch of additional classified documents that should have been turned over earlier, including apparently documents from President Trump's personal office. So I think that's a very difficult charge to defend against.
Right. Really, so much of it comes down to intent and frame of mind. I mean, Stephanie, let's talk about the photo. Let me pull it up again. This is the photo included at the end of the DOJ filing. And some of the classified documents displayed there on the floor, they wanted to show just how sensitive, how highly classified some of this material was that remained at Mar-a-Lago for months beyond, by the way, Trump team's response to the subpoena. And Trump is twisting this in multiple postings today. Here's the latest quote. There seems to be confusion as to the, quote, picture where documents were sloppily thrown on the floor and then released photographically for the world to see, as if that's what the FBI found when they broke into my home. Wrong. He goes on to say they took them out of cartons and spread them around on the carpet, making it look like a big find for them. They dropped them, not me. Very deceiving. That's not what happened. I mean, the FBI didn't try to make it look like they found them this way. This is how they're displaying what was taken out of those boxes in the search that was so highly classified. What do you make of the way the former president is responding to this?
I knew immediately when that picture came out that would be something he would not like. He's very visual. He's obviously in TV and entertainment. So I knew that would be something that would really get to him. It's my understanding that it's standard operating procedure for law enforcement to take photos like that. Hence, they had the number labeling it with the ruler. I think it was interesting. He said that they were taken out of cartons. So he actually admitted then that they had them. So I guess they're not planted at that point. I also thought it was interesting that he said for the whole world to see, but I thought if they were declassified, why would that matter? So again, I think that they are just trying to find anything they can to see if it'll stick to the wall. And I think the photo, if I had to predict, I think the photo will be part of their response, that this is going to be something they're going to blame the DOJ of making this a PR move, and that wasn't needed to be put out there.
Caitlin, what's your reporting? I mean, it's clear that this photo has gotten under Trump's skin. What is your reporting on why he's posted about it? Not just once, not just what I read, multiple times today.
Yeah, well, our reporting is that it's not just Trump. It's also his legal team, because basically they viewed it as unnecessary for the Justice Department to include this in this extensive filing from last night. And I think that's because they know how damaging a photo can be. You know, obviously their legal case is the same, or the case that they're making in court about why they don't think he needs a special master is the same regardless of a photo being included. But they added this photo on at the end for a reason. And Stephanie is right. Trump is a very visual person, but also so are most people, you know, and this is a really digestible image to look at. When you look at these dozens of pages of filings, maybe not everyone's reading through that and talking about, you know, the top secret information that he had still with him at Mar-a-Lago, but to see that photo, to see those markings is pretty straightforward and pretty clear. And so I think that will potentially be referenced in their filing, because I'm told the former president's team is very unhappy with the fact that it was included in there. They viewed it kind of as a cheap shot based on what I was told. But also, I think looking at that, you know, their argument has been that he declassified what he had there. You look at that, you don't see anything that says declassified on the cover sheets of these documents.
I mean, that's a great point, and I'll just remind everyone, right after the search. It was Trump who called for complete transparency from the Justice Department, release the full unredacted affidavit, et cetera. So this is some light into some of what they did find. Bob, they will file in the next 50 minutes, the Trump team, their response to the DOJ filing. What do they need to do? What does Team Trump need to do to convince this judge to go ahead and appoint a special master?
Well, the governments have made some very powerful legal arguments that there's no basis for appointing a special master in this case, that these aren't Trump's documents to begin with. They're documents that belong to the government, that they've already been reviewed, and that all that remains is for the court to make a determination on the basis of privilege, so that a special master wouldn't accomplish anything. And that, in fact, the few legal arguments that the Trump legal team made in their initial filing and their supplement were totally inaccurate interpretations of prior precedent. I think that the Trump legal team is going to have to try to find some way to advance plausible legal arguments in support of their position. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do that.
Stephanie, the deadline less than an hour away. What does it say to you that Trump's legal team is waiting till the last minute to file here? And I should say DOJ did the same, by the way.
Well, yes, but DOJ also did a very, very detailed 40-page document. I think that they have a lot of catching up to do, especially if he's got a new attorney. And that, like I just said, was a very detailed, very long thing that the DOJ filed. So I imagine that they're scrambling right now. For sure, Trump is insisting on seeing everything. For sure, things are going back and forth. For sure, Trump is asking that things be put in there saying how he's the leader of the Republican Party and he's a victim, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't surprise me at all. And I imagine it will be at the very last moment.
Caitlin, just to put a button on it, I mean, we should know, one could argue that Trump brought this on himself. We're only seeing this filing from DOJ and this photo included in it because Trump sued for a special master, right? He demanded that more information be public. I wonder if this subsequently is making his inner circle recalculate it all.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. They did wait 2 weeks to ask for this special master, so the DOJ was trying to undercut that argument by saying, we've already done what this third-party attorney would do. What's also remarkable, and this is a conversation I've had with a lot of people who either worked for Trump or are still in his orbit, is how this has gone from a pretty straightforward case of the National Archives trying to get back materials from Trump that once he left office no longer belonged to Trump. They belonged to the American people as per a law that was passed after Nixon left office, and now has morphed into this potential case where very clearly the Justice Department said in that filing last night, they are looking at whether or not there is potential obstruction here of their case by Trump or by those around him. And they made that very clear and drove that point home. So it's not just the case of this filing in this photo, it's also the entire situation overall, going from just trying to get documents back to now what the DOJ is looking into.
Thanks so much for that reporting. Caitlin, Robert, Stephanie, great to have you as well. Thanks.